It is now my pleasure to introduce our chair, Camilla Fleetcroft, Devices Regulatory Group Manager at the MHRA. Over to you, Camilla.
Thank you, Alex. If we could go to the title slide, please. So just firstly, thank you for joining us today. This webinar will provide an update on the key changes to medical device regulation that will take effect from the 1st of January 2021 and the actions you may need to take to prepare. Next slide, please. I will now run through some of the logistics for today's webinar. In terms of timing, we expect the webinar will run for about 60 minutes. The material we'll present is based on the devices guidance published on the gov.uk website earlier today. I would recommend that you do read this new guidance if you have not already done so. We'll start by presenting an overview of the key changes from January 2021. This will then be followed by a Q&A session with some of our technical leads. Many of you will have pre-submitted questions as part of your registration for the webinar. We have grouped these questions into categories and we'll answer them first. We will then work to answer the questions you submit to us today in a similar aggregated way. We will endeavour to answer as many questions as possible. However, if you have a question that has not been answered during the webinar, we recommend getting in touch with our customer service centre using the contact details on the slide. Or you can contact your trade association. The webinar is being recorded and a link to the recording will be sent out to you once available. The recording will not include the Q&A as both the guidance and related questions and answers are subject to change. Next slide, please. Just before we talk through the upcoming changes, I'll start by providing some context and briefly setting out where we are now. When the UK left the EU on the 31st of January this year, the withdrawal agreement created a transition period until the end of 2020. During the transition period, the UK remains part of the EU's regulatory system for medical devices. From the 1st of January 2021, the MHRA will become the UK's standalone medicines and medical device regulator. As such, the MHRA has published detailed guidance on how medicines and medical devices will be regulated at the end of the transition period, in both a negotiated and non-negotiated outcome with the EU. Great Britain will operate to an initial legal framework that incorporates EU legislation into UK law. However, the MHRA will be able to take sovereign regulatory decisions to help evolve the UK legal regime to meet future UK needs, and to take regulatory decisions that will apply directly in Northern Ireland, as long as they do not conflict with the EU decisions whilst the Northern Ireland Protocol applies. Underpinning all these actions is the government's commitment to ensure that there will be no impediment across the UK to securing access to vital medicines, including vaccines and medical devices after the transition period. So, in less than 3 months' time, we will leave this transition period, and the changes that we'll talk through today will start to take effect from January next year. I will now hand over to Jenny Keating, who will give an overview of the key changes.
Thank you, Camilla. So I will now go through the key changes that will start to apply from January 2021. So this slide just sets out the topics that I'll be covering today. So this includes changes to legislation, conformity marking, device registration, authorised representative and UK responsible person requirements, and notified bodies. So I'll start by running through the changes that will apply in Great Britain, and we'll then outline the changes for Northern Ireland. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so starting with Great Britain, and next slide, please. So firstly, on the legislation that will apply in Great Britain from January 2021, so the key point here is that the MDR and the IVDR will not apply in Great Britain. So this is because the implementation dates for the MDR and IVDR fall outside the transition period agreed with the EU and will therefore not be automatically retained EU law under the terms of our withdrawal legislation. So as a consequence of this, we will not be implementing the MDR and IVDR in Great Britain. Just in terms of what this means for our future regulatory framework for devices, we now have the opportunity to develop a new domestic system, And as we develop our future system for Great Britain, we will consider international standards and good practice, as well as global harmonisation, and ensure that we prioritise patient safety. So we're at an early stage in this process and will develop proposals for our new system over the coming months. And in doing this, we're keen to engage with stakeholders to ensure that we build in a wide range of expertise, and we'll be looking to accelerate this engagement throughout the rest of this year and beyond. We also intend to formally consult with stakeholders on our proposed regime ahead of making any changes, so we will be looking to create plenty of opportunities to engage with this process. And just in terms of devices that have already been registered with the MHRA in conformance with the MDR and IVDR, we will recognise these as meeting UKCA mark requirements while we continue to recognise the CE mark in Great Britain, which I'll come on to shortly. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of the legislation that will apply in Great Britain from January 2021, so we will be introducing a new GB route to market and product marking, the UKCA mark, which can be used on a voluntary basis from the 1st of January 2021. And the requirements for placing the UKCA mark on a device will be based on the 2002 UK Medical Device Regulations, which transpose the 3 EU devices directives. So based on the MDD, AIMDD and IVDD. So last week we laid new draft regulations in Parliament, which will amend our legislation to reflect this position, and the changes are then due to take effect from January 2021, subject to parliamentary approval. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I will now cover CE marking. So to help ensure that we have a continued safe supply of medical devices on the GB market from January 2021, and to give industry time to adapt to new changes, we will continue to accept CE mark devices in GB for 2.5 years, which will take us up to the 30th of June 2023. So during this 2.5 years, manufacturers can continue to self-certify their Class 1 devices and general IVDs for CE marking and place them on the GB market. However, where devices require mandatory third-party conformity assessment, from January 2021, manufacturers will need to use an EU notified body. Where CE certificates have been issued by a UK notified body before January 2021, we will recognise these as meeting UKCA mark requirements, and we will continue to accept them on the GB market, although they won't be accepted in the EU. Next slide, please. Okay, so next I'll cover UKCA marking. So the UKCA mark is a new product marking that can be used from January 2021 on a voluntary basis. And then from July 2023, a UKCA mark will be required in order to place a device on the GB market. So the UKCA mark will attest that a device conforms to GB standards. And as previously mentioned, these standards will be based on requirements set out in the 2002 Medical Device Regulations, which transpose the 3 EU devices directives. Where third-party conformity assessment is required for the UKCA mark, a UK-approved body will be needed, which I'll come on to later. However, Class 1 and general IVD manufacturers will be able to self-certify against the UKCA mark from the 1st of January 2021. In terms of labelling, manufacturers that use the UKCA mark will need to update their product labelling to display the mark from the 1st of January next year. And just to note here that the UKCA mark will also apply to other CE mark products, so it's not just for devices. There's further guidance available on the UKCA mark on the gov.uk website. Okay, next slide, please. Right, so moving on to device registration. So all devices placed on the GB market from January 2021 must be registered with the MHRA. So this will apply to all device classes. As this is a significant change for industry, we've set up grace periods for registering devices. So from the 1st of May 2021, your Class 3 devices, Class 2B implantables and Class IVD List A products will need to be registered. Then from the 1st of September 2021, you'll need to have registered your Class 2B non-implantables and Class 2A devices as well as IVD List B products and self-test IVDs. And then from 1st of January 2022, your Class 1 devices and general IVDs will need to be registered. It will be possible to register devices ahead of these dates, but the legal obligations will not apply until then. So custom-made devices will need to be registered in line with the risk class of the device. And these grace periods won't apply to manufacturers of Class 1 devices, custom-made devices and general IVDs that are currently required to register with the MHRA. So these manufacturers will need to continue to register devices as they do now. Where the manufacturer is based in the UK, they will register their own devices. And where the manufacturer is based outside the UK, they will need to appoint a UK responsible person to register devices on their behalf. And just to note that we'll be providing further guidance on these new registration requirements in due course. So next slide, please. Okay, so next I'll cover UK responsible persons. And as just noted, where a manufacturer is not based in the UK, they will need to appoint a UK RP who will take responsibility for the device, including for registering with the MHRA. The UK responsible person can be either an individual or a company and will need to have a registered place of business in the UK and will act as a point of contact for the MHRA. The duties of a UK RP will be akin to the existing EU authorised representative role. So where a UK responsible person is required for Great Britain, we strongly recommend that they're appointed by 1st of January 2021. The UK responsible person will then need to register devices with the MHRA on behalf of the manufacturers they represent. So this will be in line with the May 2021, September 2021 and January 2022 grace periods for registering depending on device class. So if it's a Class 3 device, for example, you should aim to appoint your UK RP by 1st of January 2021, and then the obligation for them to register your devices will start to apply from 1st of May 2021. So we won't be setting any specific qualification requirements to become a UK RP, but they will need to be competent to carry out the role. And as already noted, they will need to be established in the UK. And it will be possible for an importer or distributor to act as a UK RP, but they won't be required to take on this role, and that will be a decision for the manufacturer. Okay, next slide, please. So this slide sets out the key duties of a UK responsible person. So these are set out in our new regulations and guidance. So I won't go through all this information in detail, but we'll just summarise the key points here. So a UK responsible person will have obligations relating to ensuring that the manufacturer has drawn up a declaration of conformity and technical documentation, and that an appropriate conformity assessment procedure has been carried out where applicable. They will need to keep copies of relevant technical documentation for inspection by the MHRA. They will also need to allow the MHRA access to or provide samples of devices on request or forward on these requests to the manufacturer. They will need to cooperate with the MHRA on any preventative or corrective action taken to eliminate or mitigate risks posed by devices, and will need to immediately inform the manufacturers they represent of complaints and reports from healthcare professionals, patients and users about suspected incidents relating to their devices. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so finally on Great Britain, I'll cover notified bodies, and I think the key point here is that existing UK notified bodies will have their designations rolled over and will become UK approved bodies from January 2021. So the EU will no longer recognise UK notified bodies from the 1st of January next year, so they will not be able to undertake conformity assessment for the CE marking other than for the purposes of the CE UKNI marking, which will be valid in Northern Ireland, which I'll cover in detail in a few minutes. UK approved bodies will, however, be able to conduct conformity assessments for the UKCA mark. They will need to be used where third-party conformity assessment is required for the UKCA mark. Okay, next slide, please. So this slide recaps quickly on key timings for these new GB requirements. So in summary, the UKCA mark can be used on a voluntary basis from the 1st of January 2021. We're recommending that non-UK manufacturers have their UK responsible persons in place by the 1st of January 2021. In terms of device registrations, you will need to register Class 3 devices and 2B implantables, as well as IVD List A products from 1st of May 2021, and then register Class 2B non-implantables and Class 2A devices, as well as IVD List B products and self-test IVDs from the 1st of September 2021. And you will need to register Class 1 devices and general IVDs from 1st of January 2022, where you are not already required to register these devices. And then from the 1st of July 2023, CE mark devices will no longer be valid for the GB market, and a UKCA mark will be needed. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to the Northern Ireland section of this presentation. And next slide, please. So just to start with some context here, so the Northern Ireland Protocol was agreed as part of the UK's departure from the EU and will take effect from 1st of January 2021. It establishes a single regulatory zone on the island of Ireland and gives Northern Ireland access to the EU single market. So this means that goods entering Northern Ireland can then flow into the EU. So under the protocol, Northern Ireland will continue to align with certain EU rules, including on medical devices. And the government has also made commitments on unfettered access, which will give Northern Ireland businesses access to the rest of the UK market. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so moving on to legislation. So because Northern Ireland will continue to align with EU rules for devices, this means that the MDR and IVDR will fully apply in Northern Ireland in May 2021 and May 2022. So devices placed on the NI market will need to comply with the MDR and IVDR in line with these timescales. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide covers CE marking and the new UKCA product mark. So because Northern Ireland will continue to align with EU rules from January 2021, a CE marking will continue to be needed for the devices placed on the Northern Ireland market. So where manufacturers currently self-certify for CE marking, they'll be able to continue to do so from January. Where third-party conformity assessment is required, an EU notified body must be used in order to affix the CE mark alone or by itself. So such devices will then be valid for sale in Northern Ireland and the EU. However, if manufacturers opt to use a UK notified body, they will need to affix the UK NI marking alongside the CE marking. And this will show that the device is valid for sale in Northern Ireland, but it won't be accepted in the EU. Next slide, please. Okay, so I will now cover device registration requirements in Northern Ireland. So after the transition period, most medical devices, IVDs and custom-made devices that are placed on the Northern Ireland market will need to be registered with the MHRA. So the precise requirements will depend on the location of the manufacturer, the location of the authorised representative and the device class, which I'll run through in a minute. But just in terms of the timelines for registering devices in Northern Ireland, as with Great Britain, there will be grace periods. So the grace periods for Northern Ireland, so for Class 1 devices, custom-made devices and general IVDs, these must be registered from the 1st of January 2021. Then Class 3 devices and Class 2B implantables and all active implantable medical devices, as well as IVD List A products, must be registered from the 1st of May 2021. And other Class 2B devices and Class 2As, as well as IVD List B products and self-test IVDs, must be registered from 1st of September 2021. So these new registration requirements will not apply until 1st of January 2021. And where a Northern Ireland business has registered a device with the MHRA for the purpose of Northern Ireland, it can then be placed on the British market without undergoing further registration. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so just moving on to UK responsible person and authorised representative requirements for Northern Ireland. So the picture for Northern Ireland is a bit more nuanced here than it is for Great Britain. So I'll go through the different scenarios. So EU-based manufacturers will, in most cases, need to appoint a UK responsible person within the UK by the 1st of January 2021, for devices that are placed on the Northern Ireland market. Third country manufacturers that have an EU-based authorised representative may also be required to appoint a UK responsible person. However, these EU and third country manufacturers won't need a UKRP if they only intend to place a Class 1 device, custom-made device or general IVD on the Northern Ireland market, which has already been registered with an EU competent authority. Also, a third country manufacturer won't need a UKRP for any device class if their authorised representative is based in Northern Ireland. Great Britain manufacturers will be required to appoint an authorised representative based in the EU or Northern Ireland in order to place a device on the Northern Ireland market. Where a Northern Ireland-based authorised representative is appointed, then all device classes will need to be registered with the MHRA. However, where an EU-based AR is appointed by a GB manufacturer, then Class 1 devices, custom-made devices and general IVDs won't need to be registered with the MHRA, but all other device classes will need to be registered. And just to clarify, it will be possible for a single entity to act as both an authorised representative based in Northern Ireland and as a UK responsible person. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this slide just recaps on key timings for these new Northern Ireland requirements. So in summary, where a UK responsible person or authorised representative needs to be in place for Northern Ireland, they must be appointed by 1st of January 2021. And then from 1st of January, the UK NI marking will need to be used if Northern Ireland if a UK notified body undertakes mandatory third-party conformity assessment. In terms of device registrations, where applicable, you'll need to register Class 1 devices, custom-made devices and general IVDs with the MHRA from 1st of January 2021. And then you'll need to register Class 3 devices and 2B implantables, as well as IVD List A products from 1st of May 2021. And then register Class 2B non-implantables and Class 2A devices, as well as IVD List B products and self-test IVDs from 1st of September 2021. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and then just finally, before I hand back to Camilla for the Q&A session, if you need any more details on the points we've covered today, there are some links here to our devices guidance and further information on the UKCA mark. If after today's webinar you have any further questions, as Camilla mentioned earlier, we recommend getting in touch with our Customer Services Centre using the contact details on this slide. Or you can contact your trade association, which is also working to answer questions. And as mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded and a link will be sent out once it's available.